So we'll start with our webinar. So I'll just give a brief context setting and I welcome all the participants for our webinar on our leadership workshop series. So this webinar is being hosted by FFSC and India Kitchen Congress. And the topic for today is hiring less, training better, smarter workforce strategies for furniture manufacturers. So I hope we have a good panel of industry leaders today, and they are able to guide you through better strategies which you can implement. And we hope this session is a lot fruitful for the furniture manufacturers and even the players from the interiors and furniture segment. So this webinar is part of our ongoing leadership series through which we want to share the best practices which are being followed in the industry, which are being implemented by the industry leaders. And this also creates a thought or sort of like promotes a culture of skilling and training internally within the industry, and also drives competitiveness within the industry so that we are able to better supplement it. And as you are aware, FFC has been focused on training good talent for the industry and also upskilling existing people who are there. But all those efforts will go in a common direction only when we have good strategies in place. So today we have a good panel of experts. We are starting with Ms. Padma Gupta, Director HR and Customer Experience at Hafele India. She's the recipient of the prestigious India Kitchen Congress Skill Catalyst Award in the corporate category in the India Kitchen Congress 2025. She has over 2 decades of leadership experience in human resource management. She's a thought leader, coach, and NLP expert. And her career spans diverse industries, including manufacturing, trading, building materials, oil and gas, consulting, where she has successfully driven organizational design, talent management, performance systems, and change management industry. So she has spent over 14 years in Hafele India, and she is an alumni of IIM Ahmedabad Senior Leadership Program and an MBA from the University of Allahabad. And we hope Ms. Gupta brings a unique blend of strategic vision and human-centric leadership. So once again, Padma ma'am, welcome to this webinar, and thank you for taking the time out for us. The next panelist we have is Mr. Siva Prakash Alluri, the Managing Director of A&B Interiors and Elemmentz Living. Mr. Alluri is a chartered accountant from ICAI India and ACCA UK and holds a Master of Commerce degree from Andhra University. He has over 11 years of leadership experience across organizations in India and abroad. He has also worked in senior positions in PricewaterhouseCoopers, handling audits and multinational companies. Since 2014, Mr. Alluri has been driving the growth of A&B Interiors and Exteriors Private Limited and Elemmentz Living Private Limited, blending his financial expertise with strategic vision. Through his contributions, the organization has been recognized with India Kitchen Congress Tech Enablement Award in Kitchen Design and Sales Award in 2025 under the Silver category. So I welcome Mr. Alluri for this webinar. And finally, we have our moderator, Mr. Prasanth, Vice President of Regional Skill Chapter South of FFSC. So Mr. Prasanth has over 3 decades of experience through leadership roles across multiple organizations. He has been instrumental in driving the growth for the regional skill chapters in FFFC and implementing the Center of Excellence and Skill Academies through the South Regional Skill chapters. He's also a fellow and management committee member of the National Institute of Personnel Management in Hyderabad chapter and an HR expert. And most recently, he was the recipient of the India Kitchen Congress Skill Catalyst Award in the individual category under the gold segment. So Mr. Prasanth will be the moderator of the session today. And to all the participants, we look forward to having your unique questions. So you can use the chat box given below to post your questions. Hopefully, we will be able to address that during the session in the chat box itself, or we will be connecting with you. So with that, I welcome everybody and the panelists for the webinar today. And over to you, Mr. Prasanth, to take the webinar ahead, and looking forward to a good session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Srikanth, for the excellent start and context setting. And today's subject is hiring less, training better, smarter workforce strategies of furniture manufacturer in the SME sector, especially. Before going to the questions, I would like to get the insights from both the winners of India Kitchen Congress last year. How this platform, Indian Kitchen Congress, which we have to thanks Siva Gupta, who is manager at sourcing for hardware, and who is the founder of the Indian Kitchen Congress annual meeting platform. So how was your feeling, Shri Padma ji? How was the feeling last year when Hafele awarded the Catalyst Award Corporate Gold?
Yeah, I think that's. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I think like any winner, when you get an award, it's always a fulfilling moment. Also, since the award is from within the industry and a platform which is meant for industry players, it is especially more fulfilling because all the work that we do is not a day's work. It has been multiple efforts, multiple trials, and then training a lot of people, losing a lot of people, then getting the formula right on how to combine it together. So I think the award is also more of, it's like acknowledgement that we are on the right track, and also motivates the team to doing maybe even better work. So yeah, it is good, and the platform is from the industry, so it makes it more real and more realistic because it recognizes what we do in the industry. So
Rightly said, Padma ji. And over to Siva Prakash ji, you got the 2 awards last year. And 2023 also your company was a winner. So how was your inspiration? How you want to communicate to the other industry members to participate such event? Tomorrow,
Shiva, can't hear you.
Siva Prakash ji, you have to
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much for Indian Kitchen Congress and FFSC for having me here. And it's an honor to be alongside Padma ji, who is, a stalwart in our industry, the way she conducts her team in Hafele. So it's a great honor to me. Coming to Indian Kitchen Congress, right? So our industry is a sunrise industry and very, very unorganized as of now. So there are very, very limited platforms that are available to us where we can network with each other, share knowledge, and build a platform for ourselves. So it's doing a very good job in that sense. And to be, awarded in that particular forum among the elitist of the industry people is a vindication of our efforts, which are going in a right direction. So that's the way I would take these awards, sir. At the same time, they give us a high level of encouragement or motivate us to do better and come back next year for more from the same forum. So it keeps us and our team highly motivated. So that's the good thing about those awards. And I think for our industry, at least, there are no other awards that are available today, which can be awarded by the industry itself. So there are other awards in the segment that are awarded by different media agencies and all that. But truly from the industry, these are the only awards that are available for us. So it's really a proud moment for us to be receiving those awards. In front of the elitist of the people from the industry. Yeah.
thank you, Siva Prakash ji. And this will be now upcoming third season is coming. More industries will participating. I think it will be helpful for everybody. Yeah. Now coming to our point of discussion. Across the SME furniture manufacturing, we often see more hiring, but not better output. today's discussion is about changing that equation. And the first, the question is to Siva Prakash ji. Why did hiring more people still not solve your operational challenges? Very straight question. Unmute, please.
Yeah, sorry, 1 second, sir. So first of all, I would like to kind of take a step back before even going straight to your answer. So we all have to understand something, that this industry, although is the sunrise sector, is completely unorganized, number one. And number two, it is not an aspirational industry or an industry where people are coming forward to join it willfully or willingly, right? So when this industry is not going to attract a talent pool, what we are left with us to hire is only quantity, or the people who do not have any other choice, but somehow they have to make their livelihood, right? So those are the only people that are available for us to pick from the market. So this is the biggest challenge of our industry. That is the first point. So what happens when you don't get the quality? The thing that we do is something is better than nothing. Somebody is better than nobody. At least we need a person. We just need a person on the ground, on the floor, on the side, right? So we end up hiring wrong people, right? When I'm saying wrong people, they may not be skilled, their attitude may not be right, or they do not have any aspirations of working in this industry for a long time, or they do not have any intention of building a great career in this particular industry. They have joined us just because they need to earn a livelihood, right? So when we hire these people, what happens is, if I draw an analogy that you need to cook some great dish today, and 3 or 4 friends come together, but none of them know cooking, what happens to the dish, right? This is the exact problem that we are facing today, that we have a pool of people, right? But nobody knows, or nobody has the skill set or the right attitude, or they do not have interest in giving their heart out for the work that they are doing. So that is resulting in a lot and lot of issues, including very high iteration, right? So that's the biggest problem, right? So to give you a life example from our side, at one point of time we had 8 to 9 design engineers to do the production pre-production planning, preparing the bomb, cut list, and all that. To our surprise, even after 6 months, the output which we were getting from those 8 or 9 designers was equivalent to the 2 designers we had when they were properly trained, skilled, and they were operating. The output was same, whereas the errors kept increasing. This is a live example, right? So these 2 designers who are very good, whom we trained, we handheld them, we trained, we ensured that they were onboarded properly, and they were given a task to train other people and onboard them properly, but we could not give them the right people to be trained. So our hiring went wrong. We just hired people, whomever we got, and then the result is these 2 people were overburdened. They were not even able to give what they were ideally giving us as an individuals. So this is a live example that I can clearly articulate as to where things can go wrong. So again, we had to re-strategize ourselves, and then rethink, and then correct our mistakes, and this time go for better methods of hiring and better skilling. So that is solving our problem right now. But yes, hiring too many people is not going to solve our problem if we are not able to skill them, or if the people whom we are hiring are the right. They are supposed to be horses for the courses. So that's very, very important. And we did learn this from our own experience.
Yeah. Now, the same context, Padmaji, why does manpower quantity rarely compensate for skill gaps?
So, so while on the face of it, it appears that that the more number of people you have, the more output you will get. But like Siva said, sometimes it can be exactly the opposite. And I think a very important factor there to consider is because of the industry that we are in, which is highly labor intensive, skill intensive, but at the same time also a very quality conscious industry. So while we may continue to argue that the industry is unorganized, or the quality is not at par with, let's say, with the European or the Western counterparts, but within the country also, when you look at the customers' expectations and the demands, there is a very high inclination towards better quality. However, unfortunately, just like Siva said, the industry does not have highly skilled laborers. It is an industry in the making from that perspective. And I hope that the sunshine industry word also applies to the skill set, which is also in the sunshine mode. I think the biggest issue is that the moment things are not working out, or there is more work which comes in, let's say for a manufacturer, or more orders come in, the general tendency is to look at how do you fill up and you increase the output. Now, the output can be increased by either having people who can do a better job, a faster job, or a more effective job, or you have many more people who do the job together, so that by multiplication the output increases. But unfortunately, because it is not such a easily available labor industry, therefore the moment you increase the quantity, you will tend to then hire people who may not be as skilled as your lesser number of people whom you were able to train and groom and bring up to par. And because I think that also is a bit of a challenge, because as an industry or as an individual organization, also the whole mechanism and the process to bring people up to task quickly, to create a process which is standardized, which is easy for a newcomer to learn, adapt, and practice, because a lot of individuality is still there in each process. It is very person dependent. Now, uh, imagine if it were to be standardized, and if there were enough information available for a new person to come in and adapt, it would make the whole journey and the learning curve quite short. And if that were true, then more work, you match it with more people, and it gives you the efficiency that you're looking at. But unfortunately, we still need to work on creating that effectiveness of creating a pipeline. Secondly, like Shiva said, sometimes when we hire a larger quantity of people, the average effectiveness goes down, because now you have two highly effective people and three average people. Now the highly effective people have to put a pause on their effectiveness, because they have to also pull along the ones who do not know, or train the ones, or take them along. And therefore, it takes a beating on their own ability to produce a higher quality out. So on an average, quantity, never really compensates directly for the type of output that is there. The only way that it can create is if we are able to create processes, systems which help us to get people on board very quickly. And which, if you look at, I mean, all of you, Shiva, and all of you are entrepreneurs, when you started with, let's say, 3 people, 5 people, you had the luxury of time, because you were building up. So even though you did not have standardized process, you had time to, learn, to consult, to do it. You did not have so many customers and so many orders back to back. So you were able to automatically create a way in which you generated high quality performance. However, when the organization grew, since the processes were not defined, for Shiva to create another Shiva, then the mechanism was, very ad hoc. And therefore, while the quantity increased, the effectiveness got compromised. So I believe that the methodology of creating more good quality craftsmen is one reason. And also quantity, if not matched with quality, pulls down the average output of the whole system. So that's my take on quantity versus quality. We can't hear you, Prashant.
So, yeah, we are not an aspirational industry for technologies, but it is changing, especially if you see the Hyderabad industry, the way it is growing. Not only Hyderabad, but the industry is growing. And the people are attracted. Recently, people are getting attracted to the furniture industry also. The thing is, we are keep trying and trying among the industry as of now. So we move to the next question. When we say training in shop floor outcomes, not classroom. Shivapraji,
Yeah. So basically, you can,
structured training.
yeah. So you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, classroom trainings are also important. Part of introduction to our industry, to give them the basics about our industry and the material specifications, the tasks that they need to do, and all that. That is definitely required. Okay. But what is very, very important is that the training actually happens in all practical aspects. And it doesn't end only with theory. Only then the trainees become a finished product. And such training ensures that when these students come out of their classroom are not really surprised, or they do not get any unpleasant shocks when they actually get onto the floor, right? So apart from the theoretical knowledge of the material, the safety of the workplace, how the workplace need to be maintained, soft skills, if they are on the site, how to talk to the clients, maintenance of the machines, everything becomes very, very important. And ultimately, they have to deliver on the floor, right? So how much ever YouTube videos or on the classroom training and all that you give them, they are not going to be up to the speed, or they will not be able to actually perform. So on the job training is a must. Okay. So that's my opinion. And on the job, as a part of the on the job training only, their skills will be improved. So we are actually not looking to train the skilled people. We are taking very raw product. I mean, raw people from the market, right? So they may not know how to use power tools. They may not know how to run a machine. They do not know how to assemble the furniture, right? So what happens is, how much ever you may tell them theoretically is, or show them through whatever digital means we have, until they actually hold that machine, or they operate that machine, or hold that power tool, or actually operate the designing tool that on which they are supposed to work, it doesn't really help them. So definitely classroom training as an introduction is okay, but it needs to be further reinforced with practical on the job training.
I can't hear you, Prashant.
So retention as a business outcome. So next question, Padma Gupta. Beyond salary, what really makes trained employees stay?
Okay. I think so. When we are saying beyond salary, what actually makes a trained employee stay? I think So I think there are two parts to it, and the first is fairly basic and more of the hygiene factors, where you talk about a fair pay for the team, a fair pay, work stability, safety, respect for their work, the skills that they bring to the table. I think that is fairly standard and basic, which will keep an employee with you and want to work for you in your organization. But I think even beyond these basics, what really makes people stay is one is, that sense of connect and belongingness which they have with the organization. So, people who stay for 10 years, 20 years, sometimes, I mean, there are people who stay even from the beginning when the first factory stone was laid, and, then they even complete until their retirement, because they identify themselves with the organization. And usually it never comes from a sense of insecurity that, I can lose my job. There is always that sense that, it is my job. When will I feel it is my job? When I understand the context of why we are doing what we are doing. How is my part, whether I'm, whether I'm into design, whether I'm on the shop floor, whether I'm a supervisor, I'm a production head. How is my job adding value? And nowadays, especially with Gen Zs, now you all will be hiring, and the younger people. I think a very important part doesn't matter, whether they are semi-skilled or very skilled. I think a very important need for them is to understand the purpose of the job. And sometimes, if the onboarding is not so good, if you are not able to within that first 15 days or within that first 1 month create that hook through proper onboarding, that you belong here, there is a need for you here, and your contribution will make an impact, that hook doesn't happen. Because it is like in any relationship, if the first few weeks or the first few interactions are a repeated reinforcement that I am in the right relationship with the right people, and they need me, and we share a common purpose, then it always becomes easier to retain people, especially the trained people, because they know the value that they bring to the table. If I am untrained, I will join you because I want to learn. So you can keep on retain me till the time I have learned the tricks of the trade. But if I am a trained employee, for me, it is very important to feel satisfied that I am using my skill set for a purpose. I am not just one person who's just coming to in my shift timing and I'm doing something and going. Second, also, and very interesting, Shiva and Prashant, I was attending a situational leadership workshop, and there we were talking about a topic, and we realized that for trained people, when they become trained, one very important need is to also be able to train others, do better things, move on to a next skill level. So let's say I started as a helper. Can I become trained, and after some time I am able to get converted from a helper to a worker? After a couple of years, if I am trained and I am saturated as a helper, can I become a supervisor? And then, of course, depending on my background and my skill set. So I think for a trained person, reinforcement that he is using the training, whatever he has learned and from wherever he's learned, and a common sense of purpose, and most importantly, still, you see, because in our industry, especially for the shop floor and the junior level workers, that sense of pride is still to be established. You will seldom see someone coming and proudly saying that, I am a CAD technician, or, I'm a panel saw cutter in a manufacturing. It's still not got that element of pride. So how do you replace that pride? You replace that with a sense of belongingness. I work for A&B Modular. Why do I feel proud? Because I understand what A&B stands for. What am I doing there? What do they do in the industry? So those are things, according to me, which keep people engaged, and some people do it very well, and they are able to create that connect and that bond, either directly or through the people in their team below. And I think that really helps in retaining people in their jobs.
to Siva Prakash. Did training have any impact on attrition in your company?
Yes, definitely. Now, see, training is not a one-time thing. It's a very continuous process, right? Now, unless the people are being and trained in a continuous manner, I think they come to a stagnant stage as well, right? As Padmaji said, we do have employees who are there from the day one when we rented out a small shed of 8,000 square feet till today. They did join us as a helper only, and today they are assistant factory manager level right now, right? They have worked with us, right? And they do carry that sense of pride. And what is very important, particularly in our industry, what I've seen with most of the people is people are very, very insecure. The panel saw operator feels if I teach how to operate this particular panel saw, I become redundant. I may be replaced tomorrow, or I may not get the increment because the company will no longer be kind of dependent on me, right? That mindset or the approach needs to be changed, and it can only happen by continuous training, by telling them, okay, you only know a panel saw. If you're going to run panel saw for the next 10 years, this is what is your growth. But if you're going to also learn all other machines, their maintenance, the workflow, if you're ready to take more responsibility, if you're ready to train yourself on the job by looking at your superiors, right? Your career is bright. Tomorrow, I keep telling each and every employee from the helper to a senior level management people that tomorrow I want each of you to go out and put your own industry in a small manner or a big manner, depending on what you can your capability in terms of finance and the network that you have. The bait I give to the senior management level is that they have to replace me very soon. That is what they have to try. They have to replace me. Similarly, for a panels operator, it is that he has to replace the supervisor. And the supervisor needs to go up to a manager level. Only when these people are growing up. See, the beauty with this thing is a person who has come as a helper and then learned a panel saw and then he is becoming a supervisor cannot be taken for a ride by any newcomer, right? So they will know exactly where the problem is coming from during the course of the operation. So the training needs to happen on a continuous basis. And what they also see is this kind of an opportunity does not exist in other industries. They are able to see that a person who has joined as a helper in another industry may have been promoted himself as an operator, or he would have been out of the industry by now because it had have become too much of a monologue for him. But this guy is able to see that when I joined this industry, I didn't know anything. Today I am something, and he's very proud of it, right? So that sense of pride that they get, and the the sense of belongingness that this company has given me this kind of a skill set, that tomorrow if I go out of this company also I can make my living without any issue, or they'll be hired immediately. So that is something that is also keeping them with us. As a matter of fact, as a policy, we generally do not hire people from other factories. And we have seldom seen when we hire people from other factories, they do not fit into our culture, or they are not ready to unlearn and learn, right? So they already would have learned something and they want to continue to operate in that particular manner. So when this kind of a strong ecosystem is being built, what is happening? We are seeing the results. We are seeing the fruits. They exactly know. And nobody in our company is able to take us for a ride. Today, the biggest challenge that we are seeing is people are no longer hesitant in investing a lot of money in putting up factories. When we started in a small way, but today people are spending a lot of money in this huge capex by putting all the computer CNC machines and all that, right? But are they doing enough to actually train these people to be able to run those machines and not taken and the people are not taking them at ransom? So today an operator does not come, the entire factory flow stops. Are we getting into that kind of a situation? I think, we have to think in those lines and invest a lot of time and energy in skilling. It doesn't really cost us. It only adds value in the long term. Yeah. So because of this, the culture that we have done, the attrition is very, very low. And because the attrition is very, very low, we are able to maintain consistency with our production, our quality. And that is also something that they carry pride in. Sir, हमारे factory से जो एजिबैंड का quality आता है, no other factory gives. Maybe the other factory also thinks the same way, that whatever they are doing is of a very good quality, but at least these people are very, very confident that the quality that we are giving today, nobody else can give, or there are very few other players who can give. So that sense of pride that they also carry about the company keeps them with us.
Now, the takeaway is retention is not only happened because of the money or the remuneration. The training matters, also recognition, elevation from the present role. This all matters.
Yeah.
We have most of our audience are from entrepreneurs. I think we are getting the questions also in the chat box. We'll be able to answer at the end. We have to spare some time. So I'll switch over to the next question. SME want automation, but people readiness often lags behind machines. Again, Siva Prakash ji, we can answer. What skills did you focus on before investing in machines?
Yeah, it is important for any entrepreneur who is coming to, first of all, understand that machines alone will not solve your problems. Okay, or automation alone is not going to solve your problem. You need to get your processes intact. You need to have a proper process. So for example, I'll take a cue from my own journey. We started in a very small 8,000 square feet shed with 4 employees with semi-automatic machines, 1 press, 1 panel saw, 1 edge bander, and a single head multiplier, right? So that is how we started. And we have been fine. Whatever volume we wanted to do, those machines are capable of doing that kind of a volume. And as the volume kept on improving, we started adding on better machines and more machines. And this allowed us to train our manpower also in that particular manner, right? But the process is set. So my take or my experiences, do not try to automate just for the sake of automate. Do not buy CNC machine just for the sake of it. So for example, I very frequently give this example that, when I started my industry, the multi-boring operator was a big scientist in our factory. So he knows exactly how to drill hole, how many holes to drill, where to drill the hole so that the box is fitted without any problem. He was nothing less than a scientist, I can tell you for sure. So if the multi-boring operator doesn't come, we are taken for a ride, right? So that's a problem. Now, what happens is then somebody comes and tells us that, you should buy a CNC multi-boring machine. So the dependency on the operator goes up, right? So now we buy a CNC multi-boring machine. Then what happens? You need a better skilled operator than actually a single head multi-boring operator. And then let's say a single head multi-boring operator, we are paying him, let's say 25,000, and the machine itself was 3.5, 4 lakhs. Now we have gone into a CNC machine, which is 25, 30 lakhs. So we have just amplified the problem 10 times. You end up paying the CNC multi-boring operator 50,000 or 40,000, whatever the number is. So you're just amplifying. Then somebody else comes and says, sir, even now you're dependent on an operator. Why don't you buy a good CAD/CAM software? You go ahead and buy a CAD/CAM software, another 10, 15, 20, 30 lakhs, depending on your need, you invest. Now what has happened? The dependency has gone away from a single head multi-boring operator to a CNC operator to a CAD/CAM operator. So a 3.5 lakhs investment has now become a 60 lakhs investment. And the salaries of each of these people have also doubled and tripled, right? So blindly do not go for automation. I think you need to have your fundamentals right. If you are able to solve your problem in the first itself by ensuring that the single head multi-boring operating machine is also operated by anybody and everybody in your factory to give you accurate results, that means what is happening is you're putting a system in place. So you go to a CNC machine only when the volume goes up, or in a single head multi-boring operating, what happens is you cannot give certain services. For example, you want to do punch holes for your drawers or legs or handles or adjustable shells is very, very tedious, right? You will not be able to do. So if you want to give those value add services or your volume has gone up, that is when you go for a CNC multi-boring. Okay. And if you say you want to now multiply this and have better scale, more scale, you are now ready to prepare your own catalog. You are ready to, do more standard work. That is when actually you go for a software, right? So this is what I would say. Do not try to automate just for the sake of it, just to tell everybody that I have a CNC machine. Do not do it. The CNC machine is not going to solve any of your problem if your system or process is not in place, right? It's going to give you more and more headache than actually solving the problem. Yeah. This is my take on automation.
No, same background. How should the companies align people capability with the technology roadmaps? Technology.
So very, very interesting. I was, I was just seeing and I was trying to wonder, where was the pain statement? And I think which pain were we trying to solve is the most important question in also the series that you narrated of, starting with, one boring machine to and ending up with a software and then ending up with multiple people. I think one of the things which would help much more, when you're trying to align the people and the technology roadmap for your organization. I think the starting point always has to be where is the pain point. So if the pain point is quality, still easier to fix because then quality can be because you have the wrong tools or the wrong craftsman. Understand if the craftsman is wrong and does not understand the requirement, then there is no point in getting a better machine. However, if the machine was faulty, you get a better machine, but then you also need to do a backward calculation. And like Shiva said, do I have the people to use that machine? And if I don't have the people, then am I able to identify what skill will I need to create so that when the machine lands at my place, there are users who are ready to use it, right? If you are going to end up making a very heavy capex investment, it is like always. I always tell people that for the time being, if you buy a heavy duty juicer and spend all your money to extract juice, make sure you also have the money to buy the fruits because otherwise that juicer is of no use because you have spent so much on it. So I think an easier way to think whenever you are trying to align people and also marry the technology is to first of all set a baseline. What is it? Which process do you want to change and to what degree? What is the skill set which is available and what is the baseline which is needed to actually be able to use that technology effectively? Once your baseline is set, then you can identify that, okay, in certain areas, I need better people. In certain areas, I need better technology and invest intelligently accordingly. But all of it should also end up in understanding what pain point are you addressing. I think one of the biggest pain points in our industry would be rework. So you send a product, you send it to installation, whether it's a panel, whether it is something, it doesn't fit, it doesn't work, or it's broken. The entire pain, the customer management, the loss of experience, try to understand that was it just because your packaging was not right, rather than, the craftsmanship back at the factory, or was your installation person not right? And in order to understand that even before you think of technology, I think there is a very important need, especially in our industry. And maybe Shiva, you will be able to relate to because I can see your face. I think the other cameras off. I think a very important thing is to also be able to define our base processes, the base way of working and steps of working. In a lot of places and in a lot of people that I interact with, that is not well defined. Now, the moment that is not well defined, a problem comes and then we try to match at which step did the issue go wrong. Because there is no clear listing down the stages at which something could have gone wrong. So I think a base level of skilling, a basic level of data maintenance is a must do. Because the moment you get a machine, the first thing that that machine will say is that enter the data. You know, it is like I get a phone. The first thing that I need is to have your number in order to dial to you and reach out and connect with you. So, do you have that data ready? Do you have your processes and SOPs identified? Because otherwise, you will take, after investing on the technology, you will anyways have to do that. So, once your baseline is ready, I think translating that into the skill set of your people, where are the gaps, and then fitting it with the technology. I think that needs to be the sequence. And I hope it is you are able to resonate with it, because currently we don't do day-to-day manufacturing of furniture and equipment. So, but in my understanding, whatever I have gained in the last 14 years, I think that is an extremely important part before we talk about alignment.
Yeah. Right. Now we are on the last part of the question. We have to close it in another 10 minutes. But one more question we have. If an SME furniture manufacturer wants to start tomorrow, what is the one thing they should do first? Shivaji can answer first.
So has been my experience. I have done 1 year research before getting into the industry. Having said that, once I got into the industry, all the analysis, research, SWOT analysis, whatever you want to do, you have done. But the challenges that you will face once you actually dive into the lake, completely different. You can never measure the depths of the lake by just standing on the bund of a lake, right? So you have to be prepared for a lot of uncertainties and challenges that you're going to face mentally. That is number one. Number two, you have to be prepared to make your hands dirty. I'm talking about MSMEs. I'm not talking about large scale setups, right? A founder needs to be prepared to make his hands dirty and learn on the job. Only and only then he will be able to put right systems and processes and the right manpower, right machinery in place that is going to ensure that he is succeeding. I'll share a very brief example. In India, last time, there were a group of new entrepreneurs who happened to meet me. They, by chance, we met each other, and then they set up a new unit in Visakhapatnam. Right. So I was talking to some people, they overheard me, and then, they came and then, sir, I understand you were there for a very long time. We need some advice from you and all that. And the chat started. And this is the exact same question or similar question is what they asked. Sir, which software do we need to buy? Which machinery we need to buy? That's the question that they had. I asked them, how many boards are you manufacturing right now? They were 3-4 months old. They said, we are doing around 150 to 200 boards a month. I said, you do not need any more machines. You do not need any other software than the ones that you have today. If that is the level, you can think of another set of machinery or a software once you cross a threshold of, let's say, 800 boards or 1000 boards, right? Or when you're nearing there, that is when you think of it. Right now, if you still feel the need to invest in technology or machinery at this particular scale, which is very, very small, that means your process is very broken. And better fix it now rather than trying to fix it after you invested a lot of money, because that is when the burnout will be much higher. If you want to grow organically, if you do not have deep pockets, right? This is the only way. You make your hands dirty, learn the basics, okay, and move forward. Visit as many factories, visit earlier people, talk to them nicely, take their permissions, learn from their mistakes, don't start from zero. At least, people like us are there in the industry who are willing and ready to kind of support, help, or give suggestions based on our experience. So you can at least start from a particular base point rather than starting from zero or minus. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel again. So this would be my strong advice to any entrepreneur that would like to start up in our industry. First of all, if anybody wants to come, I will welcome them with open heart, and I would congratulate them because the opportunity is huge in this industry. A very challenging and difficult industry, but the opportunity is huge. And if you're ready to put in those hard efforts, then the fruits are there for you to have. Sanjay, that's it from my side.
The same question. What SME?
I think the best person in the field has spoken, and I'm not even ever operated an MSME, but an HR person at heart and a people's person at heart. I think some of the things which you should do if you want to start tomorrow is identify your market and your customers. Where do you want to play in the market, and then plan, your entire journey of what you want to get into. Second, and I always say, and it's sort of like a contrast, but when you are building your basic team to get going, then select a team of frontline leaders. So like Shiva said, they need to be frontline because they have to actually work with their own hands, because you're just beginning and all hands on the deck. Why I say, they should be like leaders. Select people, handpick people who are actually experts and who add on to your skill set. And I think with a good team, and if you can get a mentor like Shiva offered, and you get enough knowledge of the market and the customer, I think that is an ingredient to get into the business. Of course, the finances, I'm sure, are important because that will depend on what scale and size you want to start with. So that is my 2 cents. Yeah.
Thank you, Padma ji. And the experience which shared by Siva Prakash ji, from the beginning of the Center of Excellence Hyderabad, he is always a recruiter from the Center of Excellence Hyderabad. And he has experience from the people, trained people from FFSC. And even he is sponsoring the people from the faraway places and by giving the stay accommodation sponsorship also. So the real experiences come from him. It will really insight to the upcoming or those who wanted to start the SME manufacturing. And very good insights given by him. And always we can, FFSC has done 16 regional skill chapters, and always then, entrepreneurs or SME manufacturer who's wanted to start, they can always reach the FFSC leadership at different locations. Always get the support from the FFSC, and they can train the people, and they can develop the TOT in-house trainers also from FFSC. And now we are on the last part of this thing. We have around 15 questions. Many of them how technology filling up the skill gap by Naba Mitra and Mr. There are questions, but I don't think we will be able to answer the questions as of now. What we do, we will get this, we will forward this questions to our panelists, experts panelists, and get their reply. And we'll forward to the others who have asked the question, we'll reply to them. That's what we can do for the time management as of now. Before concluding this excellence leadership workshop, what everyone, because now IKC season 12 is upcoming. There are January 15th is the last date for applying those who are having the category according to the category. So please check out the Indian Kitchen Congress Awards and apply the categories. They are most relevant for you. Visit www.ikc.sourcinghardware.net for more details. And that today's discussion reinforces one simple truth. Productivity does not come from more people. but from better capability person, better capability person. Skilling is not an HR activity, it is a business decision. So the we have to be thankful for the panelists. And we have, I think, only 2 minutes time. We cannot, I don't think we can answer the questions. Right, as we have mentioned, we can reply to them as we seek the help from the panelists, and we get the answers and reply to the audience. So thank you, everyone. Thank wherever we want to take the help of the FFSC training centers, send the people in. We have different modalities. RTD model, support the people from your own factory. RPLs. If you want to increase the shift, you can train on batch of the people at the FFSC training centers and get the advice from our leadership. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Shiva. Nice to see you.